Hey everyone, it's Theresa Barron with Ask Theresa today. What is today? The third? Something like that. October the 3rd, I think. I think we're on October the 3rd. Yes, we are. October the 3rd, and it's nice weather out here today. Not too hot, not too cool, just a little gray. I'm getting a little bit of the blues with this gray, just seeing that everyday gray weather that pops up in the fall in central Ohio. But our weather is nice. And today I'm excited because what we're going to talk about is one of my favorite subjects. And that subject has to do with investing for cash flow. Folks, listen, I want to tell you a little story about how I got into the investment pattern in terms of investing for cash flow and what kind of reasoning I use in the common sense practice that I use in order to make the leap from just an owner occupant to an investor. Number one, my investment experience, is 30 years long, and I've been doing this since I was 22 years old. And I tell you, oftentimes I'll get approached by salespeople who want to, get me to invest in stocks and bonds and other things like that. And it's not that I don't believe in it. I've got an MBA, so I'm very familiar with corporate analysis and just kind of taking a look at the whole stock market and so forth. And even recently, I started looking at the currency markets, which is a whole different language. Don't even go there with me. I'm not interested in currency. But I will tell you that the looking at the stock market has always been of interest to me. And, people would say that if you can get somewhere between a 10 and a 15% return on your money year over year, that you're doing all right, right? Well, let's just talk about that for a minute. Year over year, 15% for me in particular. Maybe I'm just spoiled, but that's not a good use of my particular money. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that might have a different philosophy, but I tell you, for me, it's just not a good return on my investment because I feel like I'm spoiled. I'm really, really spoiled. And let me just give you a little bit of the story. One day, several years ago, myself and actually Erin, she happened to be with me that day. We visited with a stockbroker at Panera, sat down, had a conversation, just listening. I agreed to meet up with them. And they were showing me how I could get this return on investment. And they were excited about what they were sharing with me. And of course, anytime you get into the stock market, there is a large potential for loss. You just kind of have to, it's a little form of gambling. You have to understand that the risk is really, really there. But they were showing me the upside of the market. And I didn't really mean to take over and turn it, but that's exactly what I had to do because what I wanted them to see, is that right, Aaron? Yeah, because listen, it was kind of funny. I wanted them to see. I said, well, if you can beat this, let me explain to you what I'm already doing. If you can match or beat this or show me how what you got is a little bit better than what I already have, then I will really consider your strategy as a real investment for me. But they really couldn't show me because I gave them an example, and I'm going to tell you about the example right now. So I had a house that I purchased, and I purchased it in 1989. That's almost 30 years ago, y'all. Craziness. I was 22 years old, and the way this deal worked was the mortgage on the house was $335 per month. And today that very same house rents for just about $700 per month. So if I would have kept the same mortgage, then the cash in was about 700. The cash out was 335. The difference between the two is the cash flow minus the expenses. And expenses aren't every month. They're just when they are, whenever they decide to show up. That's what the expenses are. And so, but if you take that, that's more than the 335 times 2, which would be 100%, is 670. And that's 100% per month on my money, 100% per month. So I look at that situation, and I asked the investor or the investment specialist if he could show me how I could get 100% on my money every month. Not to mention, was I getting 100%? Like I put out 335, I got about 700 back, right? The question was, could he also give me the tax benefits because I got to depreciate my asset, you know? Or could he give me the appreciation, the equity benefits, because values on property typically go up, not always, but normally in a normal market and even over time, the property values tend to go up. So I was getting cash flow, tax benefits, and appreciation. And when you add all those three things up, it's a win. It's a win-win-win, right? So let me just say this much. He, you know, all he could do was kind of get up and say, you know, shake my hand and ask me about real estate. Do you remember how that conversation ended, Aaron?
They were dumbfounded. Theresa basically took over the class. She called them and she said, now, can your investment do what I'm already doing? And they just sat there with no words, with their mouths open. And it's very hard for me not to laugh at inappropriate times. If it's funny, it's funny. And I know I remember chuckling.
I was feeling a little embarrassed for both, you know, just the fact that
it was pitiful.
Y'all, you know, I don't mean to step in and want to just school.
They said, well, it was like meeting you and good luck on your strategy. And they got up and walked right out.
Exactly. And that's about all you can say. Yeah, that's about all you can say to that. So let me tell you something. You know, one of the mindsets that I want you to develop if you're interested in getting into investment, because I hear a lot of people, you know, with the mindset of trying to get started with fix and flip. Now, listen, it's not a bad idea, but what I want you to kind of realize is, Aaron, you better mute me there because I can hear me. What I want you to realize is that if you're ready to fix and flip, at least before you get started with that, let's let you be the first person to enjoy your investment. There's a couple reasons why I say that, because I see people who are renting and then they want to get into an investment, but they're still paying off somebody else's mortgage. Make no mistake, if you are renting a property right now, you are investing in real estate. It's not your real estate. You're investing in somebody else's real estate. And I always am of the mindset, call me old-fashioned, that you should first start investing in your real estate before you start investing in just a standard investment property. It makes no sense to me that you would begin to invest in real estate and you still rent somewhere. Don't make no sense. It's about positioning. See, when you are investing in a rental property, you're basically paying off somebody else's mortgage. And I know that everybody can't just jump up and buy a house today, but within 6 to 12 months, almost 100% of the people, if you haven't filed bankruptcy last week, almost 100% of the people can find a way to get into a property that puts them in an investment situation. So let me tell you how I did it. Like I said, I wasn't the brightest bulb because I was 22 years old with 3 kids, a single mom, and all I knew is that I wanted to control how much I was paying on a monthly basis, because as a renter, what had happened is that they told me that for no good reason my rent was going to go up. And I didn't understand, why is my rent going up? Did y'all give me something new carpet, new paint? What? And of course, they didn't give me anything new. They just gave me a new bill. To me, that was out of my control. I had no control over that. What I found out was when I got myself in a position of deciding to own, and it really was a mental position. I didn't see why I couldn't. I figured what they were doing was a better resolve than what I was doing. So I made that decision to go ahead and cut off the rent and cut on the home ownership. This was a 22-year-old, y'all. So I'm not trying to say that it was any kind of magic. I'm trying to say that if I can do it, obviously at 22, you can definitely do it, because most of y'all are older than 22. And probably if you're renting, you can definitely make that decision. Anyway, you know what I was saying about the investment, back to that, I started to invest in myself by creating the opportunity for me to have a fixed cost of living. That's the benefit of home ownership. If you're not in a variable rate mortgage, then you're not going to have a variable monthly payment. The only thing that can change are your taxes and your insurance. If your mortgage payment is set at 4.5%, 5%, then the principal and interest will remain the exact same. So you don't need to worry about the payment going up. You don't have to worry about the payment going down either until you're ready to pay that thing off. The taxes and the insurance, which do go up from time to time, can increase, but not at the increased rate of what rent goes up, because rent can go up 10, 15% per year, right? That to me is just, it's too much risk. Who wants to give this many people that much control over your life? So I tell you, what you should do is consider, this is the way I did it, consider investing in yourself first by owning your own home, and let that be your first investment property. Now, the first house I invested in, it wasn't my dream house. It wasn't anything. It was 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, 2-car garage, and a fenced yard. But it was certainly more than I was living in when I was renting. When I was renting, I was living in a townhome, 2 bedroom, 1.5 bath, no garage, no yard. So I went from having better amenity into a neighborhood that wasn't my favorite, but it was mine. I owned it. And very quickly, since I didn't have the mindset or the mental limitations that I couldn't do it again, I just figured, you know what? When I see something else that I like, I'm going to go get that. I didn't know that most people go ahead and sell their homes and take the, either a loss or take the equity and then put it into the next house. I ain't know nothing about that. I figured might as well get like the landlords and take this house that I just picked up and see if I can find somebody that's willing to pay a little bit more. In both cases, I did not enter the marketplace as a straight up investor. I entered the marketplace as a homeowner. And since I did, my out-of-pocket expense, it wasn't 20%. You got to be kidding me. Who wants to come up with 20% sunk cost into a house when you can come up with 3.5%, 0 to 5%? So anywhere between 0 and 5%. I actually came up with about $3,500 to get into the first house, and the second house was probably $4,400. But the bottom line was I wasn't coming up with 20%. I would rather keep that money in my pocket and just move up, be willing to move when I'm ready to move, establish the ground, and when I'm ready to move and I find something else that I like, then move up. And that's how I was able to build several properties under my, whatever you want to call it, investment portfolio. I was able to pick up several properties that way. I just had to be willing to move, and I had to have somebody who was willing to pay that rent, right? Do y'all understand what I'm saying? So if I did this, the point I'm trying to make is that if I did this at 22 with 3 kids, a single mom, no money, and at that time, interest rates were at 10%. But even with the interest rate 10%, when I got ready to move out of that property and turn it into a rental property, guess what? Somebody was willing to pay me $487 a month for my $331 monthly expense. The difference between the two was how much cash I was flowing. And today, for that very same property, which I've since paid off 3 times, I've had 3 different mortgages on it over the last 30 years. It is paying off again in this next upcoming year. It's just kind of crazy to me. Somebody's willing to pay me on that original note double. It rents out for $700 a month. And I'm not even raising the rents. I haven't raised the rents in 10 years. You can talk to my tenant about that, because I'm really telling her, if you would have bought something from the time we started till now, you would have 5 years left on your note, because I would have set her up on a 15-year note to have this thing paid off. She's been in that property 10 years, and I really appreciate her being there. But basically, she's paid off my mortgage over the last 10 years. This thing's paying off. Amazing. So I'm telling you, if you decide that it's something you want to do, let's start by investing in YOU first. Let's start by creating your portfolio with your first house. Am I saying that it's going to be your last house? No. But if you're an investor in real estate, would you rather get in with 20% down, or would you rather get in with 0 to 5% down? Which one makes more sense? Which one will allow you to start now as opposed to being in the name of real estate or the game of real estate, which pays off somebody else's mortgage and builds a legacy for their family? I would say that, if that's something you're interested in doing, we should start by investing now for you and your position, your family, your neighborhood, your community. We should start now with getting you involved with your own property, owning your own property. Let me just make sure I have covered everything, because that's the point I wanted to make today. I just wanted to make sure I drove home that point. Now, if you don't know what to do, it's okay, because I got a lot of people that can help you to get started with this process. If it's something that you really, really want, it doesn't matter what your credit is. It does not matter. We can always fix credit. What you need to have is the information so that we can empower you to make the decision if it's something that you want to do. We can get you out of the scenario where you're jeopardized with a possible eviction. We can get you out of the scenario where your expenses are going up. If you want these answers, what I'm going to recommend that you do, and we just opened up the Eventbrite link, is that you go to Eventbrite and look up the seminar, the free seminar with all the resources called It's Time to Own It. You want to get to that seminar because we are going to give you, what'd you say?
We'll try to put the link in the description box for them.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, we'll put the link in the description box, and I did make it a Facebook. I tied it to Facebook so that, Aaron, you gotta mute you, because I can't hear myself. Okay, so I did put the link for It's Time to Own It on Facebook, so you guys can get to it and you can attend. If you're not local, then what you want to do is give me your information so I can connect you with a home specialist in your area. It's critical. This is how we stabilize. It's about positioning. The renter doesn't have the same position as the homeowner, and that's for sure. I've talked about that and talked about that. I hope y'all not sick of me talking about it, because I'm gonna keep talking about it until we get this drive home the point, how important it is for our communities to own what we live in, That is the number one first line of defense. Own what you live in. Let me see here if there's anything else I want to tell y'all. You know what? I do want to give a shout out, because there were two legends in this industry in Central Ohio who really assisted me with this. One's name was Sam Ligon, and he's gone now. I mean, he's no longer with us, but he really believed that this 22-year-old little girl with 3 kids could really buy this house. Sam Ligon was an incredible force in the industry. I couldn't believe, he had his time freedom, he had his money freedom, and he believed in the idea of home ownership. And he showed me one house and explained to me why I should be able to do it, got me right in. I mean, within 30 days, I was ready to go with this property. The second property I purchased, I want to give a shout out to this gentleman too, because I actually ran into one of his family members. He's also no longer with us, but he's one of the legends in Columbus, Ohio, and his name was Chuck Scott of Scott Q Realty. He was the second person who didn't flinch when I said I want to buy my second house, and it was 18 months later. I just bought one in 89, then turned around and bought one in 90. Only a year and a half. I didn't stay in my first neighborhood but a year and a half. But today, 30 years later, it has been 30 years. I'm still investing in that property. And that property has been paying me for 28 years without me making one mortgage payment out of pocket. People tend to want to get worried about, maintenance costs. I hear that from folks about why they're worried about this and that. That's not the deal. Y'all don't have to worry about that so much, because in the past 30 years that I've owned this house, or 29 years to be more accurate, I've replaced one roof, I've done one air conditioner machine, I've done one furnace, one garage door opener, and some plumbing to make sure tree roots weren't really any big deal. I've also painted the house and changed the carpet. But over a 29-year period of time, it has paid me back so many times I cannot even explain to you. That house has had $190,000 worth of mortgages on it since I purchased it, and it's getting ready to pay back again. And what do you think I'm going to do when that mortgage pays off? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to leverage it again so that it begins to pay off again. When I leverage it again, I can literally take out 70% without sneezing, without worried about credit, because it is tied to a mortgage. I can literally take out 70 cents on the dollar and go use it for something else. And when I go spend that money, guess what? It's not earned income. Listen, I'm not going to get too deep into that, but I want you to think about that. When I go to the store and I bring a borrowed dollar that somebody else is paying off, the store doesn't ask me, did I go and earn it at a job, or did I earn it from pulling out the equity in my property? Nobody asked me that. The point is that to position yourself with this is how we build wealth. And this is what you want to do. You want to consider these ideas. Now, listen, y'all, I'm not going to hold you for too much longer. Look at that link, follow that link if you're interested in getting involved with this. Is this something you want to do? Maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe you just feel like, I'm not ready. I got too much on my plate. I get it. But if you want us to stay in touch with you, send us your email so we can stay in touch with you. That's the way we would do it. We would do it by email. And then when you're ready, you have a connection point. If you just want to attend the seminar just to get more information, maybe bring somebody with you, sit in, it's entertaining. It's very useful information. And we will make sure that whatever you're coming there for, you take it away with you. So this is Theresa Barron. Aaron, is there anything else that I need to bring up? Oh, let me give you the number you need to text. If you want to get more information on this, we do have a text number. The number is 614. It's actually the office number, but I want you to text. I want you to, you could leave a voicemail or you could text. I prefer that you text. 614-699-3008. If you send me your email, we will put you on our mailing list. It's simple. No spam, no selling, just getting on our mailing list. The other thing is that if you want tickets and maybe you don't know how to use the Eventbrite system, that's okay. Send me your information, tell me how many tickets you want and your name, and we will go ahead and sign you up and get you registered ourselves, and then send you back your ticket link. So I'm excited. October the 20th, that's the day I want you to hold down. Put it in your calendars now. It's time to own it, and we will have everything there. You're going to learn the ABCs of the home buying process. I will see you guys next week. It's Theresa Barron for Ask Theresa. Peace.